Jesus said, "You have heard that it was said to those of ancient times, 'You shall not murder,' and whoever murders shall be liable to judgment. But I say to you that if you are angry with a brother or sister, you will be liable to judgment. And if you insult a brother or sister, you will be liable to the council. And if you say, 'You fool,' you will be liable to the hell of fire. So when you are offering your gift at the altar, if you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First to be reconciled with your brother or sister, and then come and offer your gift. Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you are on the way to court with him. Or your accuser may hand you over to the judge, and the judge to the guard, and you'll be thrown into prison. Truly, I tell you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny. You have heard that it was said, 'You shall not commit adultery.' But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. And if your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. For it is better for you to lose one of your members than for your whole body to be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. For it is better for you to choose one of your members than for your whole body to go into hell. It was also said, 'Whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce.' But I say to you that anyone who divorces his wife, except on the ground of unchastity, causes her to commit adultery. And whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Again, you have heard it said to those in ancient times, 'You shall not swear falsely, but carry out your vows you have made to the Lord.' But I say to you, do not swear at all, either by heaven, for it is the throne of God, or by earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make one hair white or black. Let your word be yes, yes, or no, no. Anything more than this comes from the evil one." The gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Please be seated. Today's readings really kind of encompass one main theme, and that's you have a choice. You have a choice between life and prosperity and death and adversity. You have a choice to follow and love God and love your neighbor as yourself, to really choose to live a life that's filled with those things, or you have a choice of adversity. And really, if you listen closely to the psalm as it was sung to you, there was a little passage in there that sort of throws a little bit of the curve that we really need. And it's that statement that, "Oh Lord, that my path was straight. Then it would be so much easier," basically is what he's saying. He said, were our path straight, that yes and no, that right and wrong would seem so much easier. But I recognize that we have a choice, and we have a choice between what is right, true, and good, what's loving, what lifts up God, and what doesn't. Yet, for a lot of us, we forget what love means. Sometimes we use love in such a term that it's somewhat lightweight. I mean, we'll say things like, "I really would love to have an Audi Q7. Yeah. Well, a Q7 is a really nice car, and it drives really nicely. There really shouldn't be that much emotion attached to a Q7. We should really recognize that what love is best expressed by is how in our relationships with others, with how we treat the other in the world around us. We have a choice of whether or not we are going to love one another as Christ loved us. And whether our decisions, all the decisions that we make, are based on something like that, or based on something that would have us think of things that are about desiring other things. Look at, the idea that in that passage that we might want something so much that we give up something that's already wonderful to us, that's already something that we already have, what we already have is wonderful. We live in an area and in a time where we really have no room to complain or really desire much more. I mean, we live in a place that has a theme of, if you're lucky enough to live in Aiken, aren't we? I mean, my goodness, we are so fortunate. We live in a society and in a world right now that has so many of our opportunities. No one here really has to worry about what they're going to eat the next day. We have a choice of how we respond to the world around us with love and joy. All of those things are there for us. And we have a choice of whether or not that's enough. The other day, Heather was talking and she said, I understand people wanting and having a bucket list, but she said, really, I should be really ecstatic with what I already have. And I think she's right. I think she recognized some things. And now, mind you, we were just spoiled rotten for the past 2 weeks, so we're feeling a little guilty. But the reality is we have a choice of how we treat others, how we look at the world around us. And in this choice, that choice is between life and prosperity and death and adversity. And really, if you think about it, if you live your life every day living in the present, living with the idea that those people with whom you meet today, those people with whom you take your time, the world around you, if you focus on it being a gift and a joy and wonder and something you love and you want to share with others, you're bound to, one, have a good day, but also you don't have to worry about death. Because if you're focused on loving God and loving others, when death comes, you got someplace else to go. You got another place. We are so blessed. A few weeks ago, our vestry went on its vestry retreat, and I had them watch a video called The Fish Philosophy, and it's about a fish market in Seattle, Washington. And some of you have maybe been to the Pike Street Fish Market. Any of you seen it? It's kind of an amazing place. These guys work all day with smelly fish. And yet they spend that day excited, and they're slinging the fish, throwing it, talking to all the people. You'll watch them every once in a while. They'll have a fish, and they'll be chasing somebody with the mouth open like this. They are doing something amazing. Well, the fish philosophy is these 4 things, and I honestly believe that if you focus on these 4 things and respond to them in a way that you've made a choice of loving God and using these as sort of a guide for you, it'll work. And it's pretty amazing. The first thing they do is choose your attitude. So every morning they wake up and they choose what kind of day they're going to have. Now, I try to do this. I try to live that kind of a life. And I wake up every morning and I decide that I'm going to love God, love those around me, and that I'm going to have a good day. I turn and I tell my wife I love her and how beautiful she is. And then I get to car line. And I don't know about you, but car line can be a little tense at times. We have some kids that will come out of the car kicking and screaming because they don't want to be there. I know that'll surprise you that not all kids want to go to school. We have these other kids that will come along, and there's these 2 little girls specifically that I see every day. And if they could go forward while going backwards, they would. They are so slow. And getting them out of the car, it literally, you could read a whole gospel before they get out of the car. And it's frustrating. And yet, as I watch them getting out, I remind myself that, one, they're a child of God, and that I truly, they're special and wonderful. And watching them be so deliberate about everything they're doing, even though it's slower than molasses, is something wonderful. When I see kids getting out of the car, each and every kid we greet. And we greet them with not just hello, how are you, but we greet them with a sense that says, you are loved. Good morning, beautiful. How are you doing today? You look really great in your dress. Hey there, young man, how's it going? All of those things, every bit of that, giving them that sense of love and joy. They start their day, and I start my day with that kind of sense of joy and wonder. I've chosen to have a good day, and guess what? When I choose to have a good day, I tend to have one. If I choose to have a bad day, guess what? I'll probably have one. But I choose to do that because I think it's a part of loving one another. It's a reaction to my faith to choose to have a good day and to choose to love one another. The next thing they do is they play at the fish market. And to be honest with you, I think that's just a sense of joy. If you're really, truly loving God and loving others, you can't help but be joyful with the world around you. Look at all we've got out here. Look at how beautiful the world is. Look at the trees. We're about to hit that time. Well, it shouldn't be, but peaches are blooming already. I mean, we get to see all kinds of joy and wonder in the world around us. You can't help but share that if you choose to. And if you're someone who's playing, you're going to do more. And if you find joy in the world around you, you're going to find more and more joy. And that joy is going to spread to others. And they can't, even when someone comes up to you and you can tell they're already angry, you have a chance to respond with them in like terms. You can be just as angry right back. Or you can try to find a way to share the love and joy of God. The next thing they ask you to do is be present. And I think being present is really important. Our world right now calls us to be ready for the next thing, so much so that we aren't living the life of the moment, living it right now. We have an opportunity to see and be with people throughout our day. And we have a choice as to whether we're going to make that moment in time that we've been given that we'll never be able to get back. We have a choice as to how we live that life and how we honor the person we're with our full attention, with our love and caring. Almost nothing in our life is so scheduled that we can't take a little bit of time to be present to someone else. And if you do those three things, if you choose to share the love of God, to love one another as Christ loved us, if you are willing to share your joy, and if you are fully present to those around you, the fourth thing comes easy. You'll make their day. And I got to tell you, when you make someone's day, it's awesome. When you get home at the end of the day and either your day's been made by what you've done with someone else and for someone else, or they've done something for you, you can't help but want to share it. And your faith is the same way. If you live your life in a way that's loving one another and loving God, you can't help but want to do that again. And make others' day, to lift them up, to see the joy in others because of how you have shared that love. We have a choice each and every day. We have a choice between life and happiness and joy and wonder and death and adversity. And I got to tell you, I like life. Amen.